Marinara sauce in that boat, huh?
No blood. All we get is marinara sauce in there.
Well, welcome to the Real Guy Podcast. This is Captain Jeff, and I got two special guests in the studio tonight. I got Zack Routman, who's an upcoming guide here in Fort Lauderdale, and I got Anthony James Bruno, who longtime Fort Lauderdale family. And both these guys have been part of the social network for a long time. As a matter of fact, I don't know how many years it goes back, but I used to see Zack out there fishing, and he'd give me the head nod, and I'd give him, like, maybe a fist pump or whatever. And it was always, like, cool, because I knew that there was kids, next generation or two generations down that were doing the same shit that I was doing. And I don't know, kind of was natural. And then Anthony, I knew that he was part of the social network for a long time because he made posts and gave us a thumbs up and RTD'd and all that. But I was fishing in the river one day, and kid's standing out on this beautiful boat, and he yells out, "Run that dog!" And I look over and I give him the old fist pump, and then I was like, "Oh wait, I know those people," and kind of got to know Anthony. So anyway, guys, thanks for coming. Welcome, and this is the Lunker Dog Studios, and you're chilling with Captain Jeff and Lamont Jones.
Excited to be here.
Thanks for having us. Glad to be here.
Anthony, you were born and raised here in Fort Lauderdale?
That's correct.
Well, I'm losing my headphones here.
Yeah, no, we'll get you situated. Lamont's technical genius. He just wants to make sure that the sound's right and everything. The air conditioner always crushes us when we do the podcast in here. So, born and raised here in Fort Lauderdale, and was your dad also born and raised
My
here?
dad was born in Franklin Square, Long Island, New York, and he came down here in 82.
1982, your dad.
He came here probably 80 and then went back to New York and then came back to open Anthony's 184 with his brother and his father.
Right.
And we still have 84, and we opened up a bunch of pizza places, which is how we got the boat.
Okay.
And now we've got Pronto, which is right in your neighborhood, which you got to check out.
Right, that's the new one. The that Runway 84. I mean, my parents used to take me there when I was younger than you guys, and that was always like one of their favorite restaurants, and kind of everybody downtown knew about Runway 84, loved Runway 84, and if you really wanted good Italian, that's where you went. That was the go-to place, and it's just awesome that it's one of the places still rocking and rolling now, that people recognize, people go to, and everybody has a good time when they go to Runway 84.
That's great. I like to hear that. It doesn't ever get old.
It doesn't.
I was probably in the rocker behind the bar when you were in there, because that was my daycare. And I guess the secondhand smoke didn't kill me, so that could all just be a lie. But
So you spent a lot of time in the restaurants when you were
when I was a kid, yeah. I mean, my dad had a drum set up in the office. My mom was the bookkeeper, so I'd just bang on the drums, and I'd run around the restaurant on those wheelie chairs and crash into stuff all night long. It's my favorite thing.
That's funny. I kind of did the same thing with the. My dad was into dry cleaning when I was real young. We'd get in the carts and go around the plant and run into stuff, and then here at the marinas, jumping around the boats, and I figured you were sitting in the restaurant there, one way or the other. But and Zack and Anthony knew each other. Zack is an upcoming guide here in Fort Lauderdale. He does the inshore tarpon, snook jacks, barracudas, sharks. I don't know.
Cougar snapper,
Mudfish,
Sail cats.
Sawfish, sail cat. But anyway, Zack, now you were born and raised here in Fort Lauderdale too?
Born and raised, yep, since 91.
Huh. And when I first saw you out on the water, you were probably in high school?
High school, yeah, going after high school, catching mullet and trolling them around.
And then what? And then you went off to college, right?
Yeah, I went to University of Florida for college, came back. I actually worked for the FWC for a year and a half doing some marine biology stuff.
I forgot you did the FWC there for a second. I remember you doing it.
So I'm an insider guy now,
So you were with the agency.
Yeah.
A bureaucrat.
That's right.
When you were in the FWC, I mean, was there anything that was like cool about that?
There was some cool. I mean, the coolest thing that we did was fish survival rate data. So we would go on the drift boats and we would tag mutton snapper and groupers and stuff like that, and see how they survived and things like that.
Oh, okay, so when these people let them go, you just want to see if they're going to live or not. And most of them are living or no?
Well, the groupers, they're pretty hardy. They do pretty well. You throw a grouper back and they usually go back to the bottom. The mutton's a little different story, but a fair amount of them do pretty well.
Yeah, that's good to hear. Now, one relevant thing about Zack is part of the water taxi problem group that we have on Facebook. And he was the kid that got the world's best video of the giant water taxi rolling down the that was the New River, right?
He was in the river, yeah.
Yeah, and Zach's up on plane trying to keep up with the dude as he's filming to put the good content on the Water Taxi Problem Facebook group. So I want to thank you, congratulate you, and bravo. That was one hell of a video.
It's the least I can do, man.
Now, if you guys haven't been on the Water Taxi Problem Facebook group, down here in Fort Lauderdale, we got a serious issue with water taxi problems. They go too fast. There's too many of them. They crowd you. They're annoying. And if you're trying to fish, they make it damn near impossible. So, in a nutshell, that's the problem with the water taxis. So you can join the group on Facebook if you don't know about it. Both these guys are like pretty active on Facebook. Now, Anthony, they just happen to have a property that is right on the New River.
Correct.
And from Anthony's dock, I don't know, Anthony, how many water taxis do you think go by there on a daily basis?
I can't count, and I'm right across from the stop at Los Olas, so I'll see like one pull up, then the other one's literally coming from west on the river, pulls up right in from one coming in from the east. None of them ever use horns or signals letting you know when they're pulling out or pulling in.
So when you're sitting on your dock, let's break it down percentage-wise. Like, is it 10% of the time that you're staring at a water taxi, or is it more like 90% of the time you're staring at a water taxi from that dock?
I'll give them a break and say 83%.
83%. I like that. 83%. And during the 83% of the time that you're watching the water taxi from your dock, I mean, is there any serenity? Is it somewhat peaceful? Do they...
No, because they continuously yell out over the megaphones that, oh, that's where the founder of Anthony's Coal-Fired Pizza lives, Anthony Bruno. So everyone knows where we live, and we're just trying to have family lunch on Sunday because, we're really Italian, and that's what Italians do. We like to have our red sauce and our meatballs and our pork chops.
And while you're having your meatballs and your pork chops and everything, you got to listen to the water taxi tell people about how Italian you guys are and and about the restaurant and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and we got to think about like the B&E that's going to happen later, maybe an armed home invasion from some disgruntled water taxi rider.
I don't know. I was brought up like, if you did know somebody, the one thing that you never talked about was like how much money they made and specifically where they lived.
It's common courtesy.
Right. It's not. Were you brought up that way?
Yeah.
Right. And I was brought up that way. And I'm just wondering, like, when all those people are on the water taxi, like, does that ever go through their mind that there's actually somebody living in that house that the fool that's driving the boat with the microphone is talking about?
Of course not. These people are losers. They're like the paparazzi people that hang out on Hollywood Boulevard and scream at the stars as they come by. They have no morals, nothing. They have no code of ethics.
No code of ethics.
Zero.
Lamont got all fired up in there and had to jump on Zach's mic because, I mean, we're passionate about this. It's not like we're just looking for something to complain about. I mean, when Lamont and I were on the Intercoastal and the New River as kids, there really wasn't any water taxis. It was kind of like an anomaly. Norm's old man had a couple of boats. They would shuffle some people around. It was kind of cute and everything. But my kid, right, just turned 13. She's never been on the New River without seeing a water taxi. And it just like, when I really think about it, it like eats me up. It really pisses me off.
It's like smartphones. Everyone's looking at a smartphone all the time now. You know, you see a picture of a concert and there's a smartphone on it. Now you see the new river, there's a water taxi on it.
So
I went to a concert the other night at Parker Playhouse. Nobody had their phone out.
Impressive.
I couldn't believe it.
At Parker Playhouse.
Yeah.
And the concert was?
David Bowie alumni tour. All the people that have played with David Bowie over the
because
years.
everyone was a senior citizen there, they didn't have cell phones.
It was a little older, but like I noticed, I was in the back and I was like, no one's got a cell phone on recording it.
So, you know,
So I remember when I was growing up in high school that it was actually the water taxi. There was one company.
right,
Then it grew into the water bus.
right.
And then that expanded. Now there's water taxi, water bus. There's three different types of Jungle Queen variations out there.
Right.
There's gondola tours. There's tiki boats. There's all sorts of other like tour boats that are out in the water nowadays. And the problem is that the water taxis going out there, and they set the precedent. And they not only set the precedent for the tour boats, but they set the precedent for every other Yahoo. So the water taxi is going fast.
Right.
Now you have your everyday boater that's hauling ass through the river.
Right.
And it doesn't make sense because, you know, you're on a boat, you should be enjoying yourself, enjoying your time on the river.
It's like a leisure time.
Yeah, what are you in a hurry for?
Right.
You know?
And what, you know, like I hear different arguments, you know, for the water taxi and advocates of the water taxi. And I would think what people don't realize is that when you're traveling at a rate, it doesn't even have to be that much faster than everybody else. Say 2 times as fast. Now the water taxis are good for traveling at rates 3 and 4 times faster than everybody else that's out there. So if you're traveling 3 or 4 times faster rate of speed, I can't get out of your way if I'm following the law. Never mind if I have fishing lines out, you know, or if I have people on the boat that, you know, you don't want to be shooken up, or, you know, a fast turn or anything like that. And because of that, it turns our intercoastal waterway into complete chaos.
It's a maelstrom.
It's a what?
It's a maelstrom.
It's a good word.
Maelstrom.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anthony, he's one of these educated kids. You know what I mean? Like, he went to law school and everything. You just graduated law school?
I graduated in 12, so it's been a few years.
No, it's about 5 years now since you've been out of law school. So he's seriously, like, you know, he can read and everything. We're pretty proud of him. And, you started a law firm here in town?
I did.
How's that going?
I'm surviving. You know, I'm not setting the world on fire yet, but we're doing our taxes, so we made a little money, and after the first year, that's a good thing.
So
you
you're
know?
making it.
Yeah, I'm making
You're
it.
getting by.
Getting by.
That's-
Yeah, that's all we can do here.
That's all you can ask for. That's all you can ask for. Now, the anybody down at your law firm know anything about, like, water taxi rules?
No.
Nothing like
My law
that.
partner knows nothing about water taxi. I don't think he knows what a water taxi is, to be honest with you.
He doesn't even...
I don't know if you've seen the river. He grew up in Weston. So
You should
He
invite him.
knows what a lake looks like.
You should invite him over to dinner.
He's a peacock bass guy.
Invite him over to dinner, and then when they're talking about you guys, when you're trying to get your meatballs and everything, you can explain to him what the water taxi is.
Yeah.
The photo that somebody posted last week that showed the water taxi at the mouth of the New River, but outside or in between the channel marker and the seawall,
Familiar with that.
where all the guys jumped and said, he's not doing anything illegal, you don't have to be in the channel. My complaint is, if we were fishing right there, in between the marker and the seawall, that water taxi would still make that move. Instead of just going around, you're talking about an additional 30 feet. But to someone that's in the New York City taxi cab driver mentality, he has to take that corner. Therefore, he's going to swamp you, and he's going to cut off your line. So it's not always about legal and illegal. It's about being a dick on the water.
Right.
And
Common courtesy.
common courtesy.
Now, Zach, you're trying to build a business out there. Same waterways that I built my business, 20 years ago out there. How much time, energy, effort, consideration do you have to put in to boat traffic and specifically the water taxis?
I structure my charters around it, basically.
Around the spots that they pick up?
For instance, I can't fish the New River on the weekends. Just straight up.
Not an option.
Unless I want to, do my charter at 5 a.m. and fish, till 7 a.m. before the boat traffic gets heavy. I can't do an afternoon charter Friday, Saturday, or Sunday in the New River. too stressful. Even if you hook a big fish, you're not going to land him. He's going to get run over by a boat. He's going to get and you know what? To be honest with you, sometimes it's not even worth fishing in there anymore because the fishery has declined so much since I've just been in high school.
Right.
I mean, that one spot that Anthony's talking about on Las Olas, right across from his place where they pick up. I remember in high school we used to troll through there March, April, May with live mullet,
And that was a go-to spot.
and you'd get, 5 to 10 bites, in a 2-hour time span between, an hour before sunset and an hour after. And nowadays you're lucky to get 1 or 2 bites, but the thing is you need 5 or 6 bites to get one fish to the boat because they'll miss it, they'll knock it around.
That's always been my ratio. Like when I tell people, we're out there tarpon fishing, and they'll lose, if you or blow a few, I'll tell them, I said, you need 5 bites to get one.
Yeah, exactly.
That's my number.
Unless you're getting really lucky and you get one, then you'll get one to the boat.
It's amazing how streaky you can get every once in a while. You'll get 5 in a row and then lose 12 in a row and that kind of stuff. But
Right.
5 to 1, that's good. That's good. It's very good.
You're still trying the whole not cursing thing, huh?
You see that, huh?
Yeah, I'm catching it. Yeah.
It makes it, makes for a little more stuttering and a little more hesitation sometimes. But I am doing a very good job of not cursing. Did you guys listen to the podcast I just did with Tom Rowland?
I did.
1 curse. I only cursed 1 time, and that was an hour and a half.
That's impressive.
It's pretty impressive.
It's hard to do.
I kind of learned how to turn it on and off from going to court because I can't really curse in court, or else I get in trouble for that.
Ricky did.
Huh?
Ricky cursed in court.
Ricky Williams.
Ricky from Trailer Park Boys.
Oh, yeah, that's. I forget that. I forget that scene. How does that scene go? When he's like, if I can't curse, I can't have smokes. And how am I supposed to talk or whatever he says? Oh, that was such a good scene.
I'm pissed. I am so pissed that Busaka's not here tonight.
Well, at least Argento's on, the Paisan.
Well, we got a lot of Italians in our network, and I made a post before you came in here, and I let everybody know that this is by far the most Italian person we've had on any one of our episodes so far. And I'd like to see, maybe the Paisan, Joey Argento, might be able to go neck and neck with you being Italian. But Busaka, as much as he loves being Italian, I haven't met anybody that loved being Italian that much since the 80s until Busaka started hanging out. And then for him not to be here tonight, that's like...
Well, in the 80s, you had so much momentum, with Rocky and Saturday Night Fever and everything.
Right. But, Travolta wasn't really Italian. He was more Zingara.
Does Busaka wear a horn? Does he have a horn that hangs around his chain?
Well, no, he's... In spirit, he has the horn. But he's like, he's just, kind of like you guys. He's like the millennial, he's like worries about what he's wearing and everything. It's not like he's Chachi or whatever. We can just sport the piss out of that horn.
Do you know what's inside the horn?
I have a guess. Cocaine.
Next one you get, break it open. There's a little guy in there.
I have no idea what's inside the horn.
Who is he?
It's like a saint. It's like a little thing, like half the size of an army man.
It's like a little Jesus or something, huh?
Yes. And under the crown.
That's like the cakes in New Orleans, the king cake. You get the
similar.
baby.
So if Busaka knows who the little guy is in the horn, maybe, just maybe, he has a shot of being a little more Italian than Anthony over here.
That could be the measuring stick.
Well, Busaka did have a good point. They're outlawing straws, that whole controversy.
Yes.
You can just use a whole ziti, the long one.
What if I start winging meatballs at the water taxi with the water balloon slingshot, shooting meatballs from my dock? Would that make me more Italian than Busaka?
Yes, that would make him, especially those meatballs. I went to a party over at a friend's house, and everybody had to bring meatballs. Right?
I heard about this party.
Did you probably?
I did hear about this party.
Like, don't spill the beans. So, my wife, she makes meatballs. All my peers are making meatballs. They all bring them over to this lady's house, and we're all tasting the meatballs. And then your old man walks in as the meatball judge.
That's right.
He's gonna call the whole. He's gonna call the whole contest.
He's the
Call the
official.
shots,
He's the
huh?
official. I'm Italian. I'm
The
gonna
guy
know if there's a
knows
meatball
meatball.
party going on.
And you see what's going on here. Anthony is competing with Busaka in his own way. Because he knows that he can't leave here without being the most Italian guest that we've ever had on our podcast.
Well, who won?
Well, we're still going. I'm going with Anthony because that's what I put in the headlines.
So I have a funny Italian Anthony story actually one time. So Mr. Bruno, they have a place down in the Keys, and he comes down. He's like, "Hey, Ant, like, bring your friend Zach. Like, he knows how to fish." Like, so Mr. Bruno had all his friends from Joyces
Oh God, that was so much fun.
at their house in
Long
the
Island.
Keys. Yeah. So they took the boat down. They were already down there.
Like,
Me-
I mean, if you thought about what a bunch of my dad's friends from elementary school and middle school and high school in Long Island looked like.
Right.
Like, there's one that's like 5'4" and all like muscly. Then there's another one that's like 6'2" but just huge.
Yeah.
And they're all sweaty and they all talk like.
Well, you know, I
So-
married one of them.
So we get down there. We take the car down later, and we pull in. And like he said, there's a different Italian guy. There's a Paulie. There's a Johnny. There's a Tony. There's a every
Tommy.
Yeah, there's every guy you can imagine
Mikey.
that's there. So we walk in, and there's all these guys that knew each other from Jersey back in the day. And what are they doing besides sitting there eating Italian food, watching Goodfellas? So I'm like the fish guy. Like we next day we go out and we put him on a couple sailfish.
He's
They have a good day.
he's Zachy Fish.
Yeah.
That's what they called him.
Is that what they call me?
Yeah.
Exactly. It's nice to be the guy that knows, how to catch the fish when you're hanging out with all those Italians, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. You're like you got all these guys in. They're like tough asses. Everybody that's Italian, have that. I don't know, call it a perception, but that's a persona of being like a tough ass. And then Zach, if we're on a podcast, you can't exactly see Zach. He's not exactly what you call intimidating. But
They kept telling me I had to keep eating more,
More pasta.
more rolls and more meatballs. Yeah.
Sounds like my mother-in-law. But anyway, so hanging around these guys and then being the guy that actually knows how to bait the hook and where to throw the bait and where to catch a fish. It's nice, right? They bring you right in.
Yeah, we actually had I threw the cast net on some bally who were chumming for a yellowtail, and we couldn't get anything. And I'm like, before we leave, like, there's all these ballyhoo. I take the net, I throw it twice, I get like 40 ballyhoos. And I was like, one guy wanted to drop them down. I was like, I'm just gonna put a couple flat lines out. Put a couple flat lines out, and next thing you know, someone goes, "What is that?" I go, "Oh shit, that's a sailfish." Damn, I cursed. Grab like 3 ballyhoos out of the well and throw them out, and next thing you know, we have 3 sailfish jumped up right behind the boat. These guys are going nuts. They've never seen anything like it,
Rock star status.
They
Yeah.
were running around the boat screaming. One of them's videotaping the whole time. I'm gonna send this to you.
So
Alright.
I hook one and I throw it out there, and sailfish does a headstand on it 5 feet behind the boat, and give it to him. Start reeling. I turn around, I go, "Fish on, who wants it?" These guys all look at me wide-eyed. One guy, "I'll take it," and comes up and grabs the reel.
Now, these guys from New York, how many of them are like really good at blue fishing?
None of my dad's friends.
None.
I think the one guy Billy fishes, but
See,
other than
he's
that,
the blue
none of them.
fisherman out of
None
the
of
group?
them. Yeah, none of the other guys fish though.
Like one of the most common things with the New Yorkers, New Jersey people, but especially New Yorkers, when they book the trip with me, it's like they want to spend about 5 minutes letting me know how good they are at catching the bluefish out there. I'm pretty good. I'm not good out there. I catch a lot of bluefish. And when we go out on the drift boat, I'm the guy that's getting all the bluefish. And they take pride. They take pride in catching the
I hear a
bluefish.
lot about the stripers from them.
Striper fish. Normal?
Stripers, yeah.
My wife, she's Long Island, New York Italian. Born in Brooklyn, then they went out to Long Island, and then moved here in mid-'80s or whatever.
My dad was backwards. He was from Long Island, but all of his cousins lived in Brooklyn.
So he went from the island to the
So
city.
he went from the island to the city. So when I told you about the origins of Runway, he moved down here like right when he finished high school, and he's like, I hate this place. So he goes back to Brooklyn, and he lived in Brooklyn, and him and his 2 cousins or 3 cousins, they worked in their catering hall. And that was like his college experience for a year, was they just worked this catering hall, and he'd make a lot of cash, and then he would just party and play softball. And then my grandfather called him and said, hey, I got a restaurant down here. You got to come down here and run it. And he just packed his Mazda 626 and drove back from New York in one day. The rest is history.
And then he was down here. I wonder if he would have showed up to Fort Lauderdale today, coming from New York.
Huh.
If he would have been like, oh, that place blows. Or if he would have like thought it was cool.
Well, nowadays, I mean, he likes it because it's business, but it's gotten a little ridiculous, even for him, you know?
I'll tell you guys something kind of funny is, it's always been like, geez, Fort Lauderdale's going to get as bad as Miami one day.
Yeah.
Well, when I left to do my trip 3 days ago, I left here to go to Hullover Inlet. And I take A1A. So I just, go across town, get on A1A, and then roll down to Hullover. It took me 40 minutes to get to the airport. And then it only took me 30 minutes to get to Hullover.
Huh.
See,
So we're worse than Miami now.
It's special that I'm here tonight because I try to avoid going on the north side of the tunnel at all costs.
See, that's new.
Used to be Sunrise.
It's the construction right there at Broward and Federal that going north in the tunnel blocks you up.
I always told people if they could just stay east of Federal Highway, you're doing good. Now, you don't even want to go north of the tunnel anymore.
No, it's too far.
See, I'm slumming it. I'm in Victoria Park over here. I'm like way north of the tunnel, like by 6 blocks. And then you guys are, 6 blocks south of the tunnel.
Well, no, I'm on 17th Street. My parents live on the river. I live on 17th Street. So I get every wahoo who's going home at 5 p.m. every day and decides to cut through my neighborhood.
Can you hear the cruise ships from where you live?
Oh, yeah. I hear the cruise ships. I hear the trains. I get the ambulances.
You can hear them from where you live, too.
Oh, yeah.
The Disney thing's killing you.
Yeah, there's one that does the horn and there's one that does the little auto-tune thing.
Right. If you guys don't know what we're talking about, they have a Disney cruise that leaves out of Port Everglades and also leaves out of Government Cut. And probably 80% of the time I'm fishing in Port Everglades or Government Cut. These poor bastards live right next to Port Everglades. And the Disney boat goes out of the inlet and it plays a little Disney tune. How does the tune go?
What is it?
It's like
When I
do-do-do-do-do.
When I Wish Upon a Star?
Is that what that is? But then it's a Disney tune.
It's kind of creepy.
And they
to
play
hear.
it when they go out of the inlet. And you hear, I hear it 4 or 5 times a week. Can you imagine hearing the Disney song, the Disney tune or whatever, 24/7 every day? Well, not 24/7. It's not like they're leaving at 2 in the morning, but they are leaving at any time between 8 in the morning and 8 at night.
Yeah.
And it pisses me right off when I see all the people in the condos at Point of Americas waving at them and celebrating their cruise. Because one, of the Disney tune that totally makes me sick, and 2 is all those fools are going out to the middle of the ocean and they're not fishing with me or Zach. I mean, you have to
Amen.
break it down and make it a perspective, right?
Yeah. Going out there just eating away. There's only,
They don't even let you fish the port anymore.
There's 3
so they've got
types
a
of-
monopoly on the port also, by the way.
Yeah.
The cruise ships do.
Yeah.
Yeah, the cruise ships totally sold us a dream. See, before the cruise ships started, or the big cruise lines, I should say, there was always a couple of ships that would come in and out of the port. But then the cruise lines made the deals with Fort Lauderdale and the Port Authority and the state and all that. And when they said that the cruise ships were going to start coming into Port Everglades, it was going to be good for Anthony's. And it was going to be good for Casbah Spa down here. And it was going to be good for me and Zach because we're going to get all this new business from all these hundreds of thousands of people. And think about it. It's hundreds of thousands of people. It's like having a Super Bowl here every single week. How many of those people do you take fishing?
I haven't taken a single cruise
Right.
person fishing.
Even if they wanted to go fishing with you, they don't give them 10 minutes to spend a few $100s here in Fort Lauderdale. They go from a fucking bus, excuse me, but I cursed, and I meant to curse that time because I'm passionate about this. They get on a goddamn bus from the airport. They ship them to Port Everglades. They get on the damn ship. They go to some fabricated town in the Caribbean, and they spend every last dollar that this person saved for their vacation, and they take it right out of the United States and they creep it. In the meantime, guys like me and Zach should be busy 24/7. Guys like Anthony's dad should be busy 24/7. People like my wife should be busy 24/7 because that's like having a Super Bowl here in Broward County every single week. And you know what we get? We get nothing.
We get shut out of the port for fishing.
Right. We're the ones that get thrown out of the port.
Well, the crew gets to go to Ross.
The crew gets to go to Ross.
Yeah, you ever try to go to Ross at the Southport Plaza, dude? It's crazy.
The Ross store. I wasn't even thinking about that. I thought there was.
They
like
have
a
buses.
I thought there was like a nightclub or something I didn't know about. You're talking about Ross, like
Dress for less.
Yeah.
dress for
Yeah.
less at Ross.
Yeah, if you try to dress for less, or if you try to go to New York Marina Deli, you can't go because a van pulls up, blocks all the lanes, and all these crew members get off, and they go to Ross and buy a bunch of clothes and bring it back
where
to
the
where they're
old
from.
Publix used to be.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Where like Kelly's Land, like that plaza
Southport
where Kelly's
Plaza.
Landing, the Southport
Yeah.
Plaza, yeah,
So the people that work on the cruise ships,
yeah.
they spend money at Ross, and the people that go on the cruise ship don't spend money at Anthony's, don't spend money at Caswell Spot, and don't spend money with Zach and I to go fishing.
And I can't go to New York Marina Deli.
So yeah, it's crazy. The thing in the port is that you'll be the only person that's actually following the law because it's idle speed, no wake zone. You'll be idling, slow trolling some mullet or doing whatever, and you get yelled at while meanwhile a jet ski and a guy on a pleasure boat go by way too fast and they should, and they don't get yelled at. But because you have two lines out,
Right, you're the issue.
You're the guy that's gonna cause an issue or something like that. Although I will say we have had a couple fish on in the middle of the port this past weekend, and with the police boats right there, and they didn't say anything. So I don't know what's going on. Sometimes they yell at you, sometimes they don't.
Dude, there's so much that goes with all that port security. But what pisses me off, and it just doesn't make any sense, is like anybody that is so-called port security that sees you rolling through the port, they should be like, oh, that's Zach Rutman. He fishes out here all the time. He's an advocate of ours. Not an enemy, not a freaking foe, not somebody that I'm going to enforce the rules against, but somebody that maybe if something was going on, I could pick up my cell phone, call Zach up, and find out if he saw anything freaking weird. And instead of being, having a network like that, they want to be your opponent. They want to work against you.
Zach's boat's pretty noticeable too, so they really got no excuse for not recognizing him.
None of them have
Yeah.
any excuse for not recognizing anything. That's their job. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, if they see you coming out there, I mean, your boat's pretty noticeable. It's got the 4 engines on it, and it's, big,
Yeah.
and it's, there's not too many like that. And it's their job to know when you go through Port Everglades who it is.
I mean, how incredulous or how bad is a person standing on a bow of a boat throwing a cast net? Like, you really think they're a menace to society, or they're going to do something wrong?
And they probably know how to drive their boat better than anybody else out there too. So
Yeah, I'm driving the boat with my feet, going up to the bow and throwing the cast net, and they got a problem with it. They got a problem with
How
it.
do your clients feel? How do your clients feel when the Coast Guard and the sheriff are manned with the gun, running up and down the port? What, they got a 50 millimeter up?
It's not a good feeling.
Right?
Yeah, it's 50 cal they got up there.
I've been watching it ever since 9/11, and when I see the guy standing behind the gun,
Who's an 18-year-old kid that's trigger happy? He wants to get in on some
wants to
action.
use this thing,
Yeah.
I don't know if he's trigger happy, but he might be 18 to 22 years old, and I don't care, if you're Navy, Coast Guard, or whatever. If you're 18 to 22 years old, and you're behind a, semi-automatic or whatever.
that's an automatic.
Yeah, it just kills me. And I've been saying it ever since day one. And to this day, when I see them run around, and the guy's manned up there, and they got the big gun. And I'm just like, dude, what the hell are you guys doing?
Yeah.
Well,
and it goes back to every answer to your question is at the end of the day is always money. So I find it hilarious because they have these cruise ships are in the port. They get ultimate port security. No one can go near them. No one can touch them. As soon as these ports leave, they go out the port. They hit the whistle buoy. They don't even hit the whistle buoy. They hit the first set of markers. See ya, you're on your own. If you really want to do anything to these cruise ships, all you got to do is wait out by the whistle buoy, wait for the cruise ship to come to you, and you can do whatever you want to them.
Dude, you can do it from the beach.
Yeah.
You can go to the jetty and they're
the Coast Guard's going to come knocking on our door in a second.
I wish they would. I asked the Coast Guard stuff. The main thing I ask them is, about the water taxi. It was funny. The other day I'm in Lauderdale Marina and I'm getting my, snacks or whatever. And there's like 10 of those Coast Guard kids in there. And I hear them murmuring and, they're talking. And then one of the guys walks over and is like, dude, you're Jeff, right? And I'm like, yeah. He goes, oh, we watch all your videos, man. We can't believe you catch all that stuff right out here, blah, blah, blah. So, I'm being all nice to him and I'm, high-fiving him and everything. And then I hit him right in the nose with, how come you guys never do anything about all the violations of the water taxi? And then nobody said nothing. It was like dead quiet.
Awkward.
So,
yeah, right?
I will say the one, for as long as I can remember, the one time that I've seen anything happen with the water taxi as far as enforcement is concerned is I was coming around the bend trolling and a water taxi came hauling ass right behind me, and he comes out and there was a Coast Guard out in the channel that the water taxi couldn't see coming around the bend. And as the water taxi came flying around, obviously they're about to run over my lines. The Coast Guard flipped on his lights, and immediately the water taxi slowed down, and I just started clapping. And as the Coast Guard went by, I said, "Thank you guys." Like, no problem, man. That was the only time I've ever seen.
Saw some water taxi guy get shaken down a little bit.
Yeah.
That was the mid-decade enforcement action.
Yeah.
Well, listen, I made some notes for tonight's episode. And one of the things that I wanted to make sure that I didn't do that we did when we were doing YouTube is I didn't want to fight the trends. Like, I always fought the trends, like when we did YouTube. Like, I wasn't into catching sharks, so I'm not going to catch sharks to get YouTube views. I wasn't into catching Goliath groupers, so I'm not going to catch Goliath groupers to get YouTube views. But one of the things that I noticed about a podcast we did a couple weeks ago is we were talking about deodorant. And in like 3 days, that podcast got more listens than all the other podcasts. So I'm not going to fight the trend, and I'm going to... Zach, you're out there like I am. You're catching bait. You're sweating. And I know you're stinking a lot of the times. What are you doing? What are you doing for deodorant out there?
So I've actually been wearing this new brand of cologne. It's called Moulet.
Moulet.
Yeah, the ladies love it.
So it's a cologne you're doing. You're not even doing deodorant out there.
It's Moulet. Yeah, you go out and you throw the cast net about 100 times. You get some nice mullet on you.
And then you do the Moulet.
And then you do the Moulet. Yeah, and the clients, girls, everyone loves it.
So what's the percentage of girls you're taking out there?
Well, I did take out some girls from at Florida International University that were biologists to do some jack tagging.
Right.
Yeah.
And the Moulet was working for you.
The Moulet works 100% of the time, every time,
Now, what about you, Bruno?
I don't use any colognes. I use God, I forgot the kind of deodorant I use, to be honest with you. I just use deodorant and...
You're not doing Old Spice.
I'm not doing Old Spice.
I'll do the Old Spice with the swipe there, but
you do Old Spice?
The Moulet covers it.
They just get my natural musk and a little hint of deodorant. That's
so
what I go with.
straight BO on them.
Yeah.
That's not a bad option, because like I do Axe because my kid talked me into doing Axe, and I know when they smell the Axe, because it's pretty powerful. When they're smelling the Axe, they're like, God, this guy probably really stinks behind that Axe. But you do what you can. You want to make everybody comfortable out there. And
How long are your sprays of the X?
I'm doing the gel stick.
Dude, do the spray and give it a solid 15 Mississippi.
Oh wow, that's
That's how the kids are
dangerous.
doing it. That's how the 13-year-olds do it.
Bruno, what's your dad and your granddaddy doing
For his,
yeah?
I don't even know what he uses to be
I got
honest.
$10. It's Aquavelva aftershave. $10 Aquavelva aftershave, and at least one of them are doing Old Spice.
Even in the courthouse when you suited up.
I
and
don't.
everything?
I do
Nothing?
not wear any fragrance, and no one's told me I smell yet. So, yeah, really, I
Really?
swear to God. And my former boss, the guy that I used to work for, I don't know if he'll ever listen to this, but I moved down the hall from him. We still work together a lot, and he wears some crazy stuff where, like, when he leaves my office, it's in there for hours.
That's how I was
And
this week.
my wife, like, she'll give him a hug, she'll say hi to him, and he'll, like, leave, and she'll be like, oh, I'm gonna smell like Eric for the next 5 hours.
And how is it?
I can't really describe. He also, like, smokes a lot of cigarettes, so that's mixed in. And it's an interesting thing.
So it's definitely like an Eric smell. It's not like
He uses something. I don't know what it is, but I've heard people compliment him on it too. But I don't know what it is. But it hangs around like it's like a ghost when he leaves.
Yeah, I had a Cuban godfather, Adolfo. What a great dude. But man, did he wear some stuff. And then when he hugged up on you and stuff,
Good on
you smelled like,
transfer.
yeah, it was, well, hey, these my parents, and, you know, they knew where I was anyway. No, so I got it. I'm gonna make it a point on most of the podcasts, you know, to make sure that everybody gives me the skinny on their BO. People totally like that.
I wish I remember what deodorant I wear.
The other thing that I want to do in the podcast, I want to do a current event every week. Like, I got to do some work here. You know, I got to, like, you know, stay up on things. And the current event for this week that totally tickled me. I did like that, tickled me. Totally tickled me was Joyce's Dock. Did you guys see Joyce's
That
Dock?
was awesome.
Fish Joyce's Dock. That was
Fish
That
great.
was great.
Dock?
That was great.
Oh.
I haven't watched the videos yet. I've watched the videos of the guy getting sprayed. I haven't watched the actual event yet.
So you saw the original video
Yes.
of Joyce's Dock.
Yes.
That is the best thing that I've seen on social media in a long time.
There were tackle stores that were offering up, you know, gift certificates for whoever had the trash fish slam in front of Joyce's Dock and all sorts of stuff.
What
yeah.
city was it?
It was in. Was it Sebastian?
Yeah,
I think it was Sebastian. Yeah.
I think it was Sebastian. And if any listeners that don't know about Joyce's Dock, what happened was this dude was fishing this lady Joyce's Dock. And Joyce comes out to the dock and makes a big deal about him fishing there. And he's like, lady, you know, I'm not doing any harm. You don't own the water. And she thought she did own the water and argued with the dude and then sprayed him with water as he did this live online or something like that. And then all the fishermen got behind this guy, and then they did an event, Fish Joyce's Dock, because there ain't a damn thing you can do if you're a waterfront about the water taxi or the fishermen. If we want to be behind your dock, we're going to be behind your dock, and there's nothing you can do about it. So I hope everybody got over that. But the thing that I totally got me fired up is that's like real guy helping real guy.
I think the cops actually. She might be getting charged with misdemeanor battery too.
She did, yeah.
Yeah.
She got charged for messing with the guy.
Yeah.
Squirting with the hose.
That's phenomenal.
Yeah.
Maybe we should do something similar with the water taxi. You know, just get 3 boats wide and just slow troll up and down the river and just slow them down. And make them go super slow the whole time. They can't pass you. You know, you're not doing anything illegal.
They're gonna pass us. They're gonna go over us if they have to.
It just goes to show you the power of the social networks and the networks of the fishermen. Now, how did you guys first get in our network? You find out about Longer Dog or one of the Facebook groups, YouTube or whatever it was?
I think God, I don't even remember. I was in some black hole on YouTube. I think I saw one of your videos. I just started watching it, and I was like, this is weirdly entertaining. And I just sat there for like 2 or 3 hours watching them after that.
And then you started just watching the vids.
Yeah. But this was like probably, I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago.
Okay, so not even that long ago.
Not even that long ago, yeah.
And what about you, Zach?
So I remember back in high school, or maybe even before that, I think one of my like parents' friends that was friends with Carl Ball or something knew you or got in touch with you and saw you on Facebook and then told me about it, and then I started following you and saw you catching all these fish, and I was watching all your videos, stealing all your spots, and and then I'd see you out in the water and stuff like that, and
Okay, so
and
it's
then
like
we went from there.
a family friend referred you to the YouTube videos, and that's how you kind of got into the network.
Yeah, he's like, oh, this guy Maggio's catching tarpon in Fort Lauderdale on fly rod or something like that, and I was like, oh, I got to check him out, and then I went in and started watching all the videos, and it was pretty cool. And
See that? That's my favorite thing about our social network is like we get to meet guys like you. We get to be friends with guys like you, even though that we haven't spent like a ton of time together. Through the social network, through some of the common causes and purposes and people that we know or don't know, but our social network is like, in my opinion, it has to be the strongest social network in fishing, period. And I don't know, I have a great time with it. I like it. And that Joyces Dock thing,
That was powerful.
that went viral. Yeah,
That was powerful.
and that's because of fishermen and being part of social network. I think it was mostly. That thing went totally viral, but it's just cool. You saw the, people actually got involved and did something.
My fear is if we tried to pull a Joyce's Dock thing, we'd end up seeing the bottom side of a water taxi.
It might get dangerous.
Yeah.
It might get dangerous. Dude, there's only so much we can do and we can't do.
At the end of the day, it's idle speed, no wake in the New River. If you're going idle speed and someone's going around you, that they're the giveaway boat, you're the stand-on boat.
That's true. That's true. People don't. Somebody from the FWC today was telling me that a lot of these, not the water taxi captains, but the guys that you see doing the pontoon boats and stuff, that they don't even have to have a license, a captain's license for that.
I don't know how that's possible.
It's weird.
If people are paying them, they have to. They have to.
Dude, the FWC officer tried to buddy up with the Coast Guard to start checking licenses on these charters because there's just so many of them going on. And the Coast Guard explained to him that there's a way to hire people, and you have a list of people that are like on your insurance binder, and as long as it's one of those people, I think you're allowed to list 3 per vessel. They don't even have to have a captain's license.
Huh.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know how that, because they've been busting a lot of them in Miami lately. They just busted a pontoon charter like a couple days ago, but
I don't know. I'm gonna look into it, but it's kind of weird to me.
it's a great racket, that's for sure.
Dude, it's all a racket. It's definitely a racket. But anyway, guys, thanks for coming in tonight. I appreciate you guys being on the podcast. Zach, congratulations on that video. That's the best water taxi problem video ever.
Hopefully I can get some more.
If anybody gets one that's worse than that, and nobody here in the city of Fort Lauderdale does anything about that, I don't know.
You just gotta pack it in. It's over.
You just gotta look the other way and just do what you gotta do. Maybe we'll start fishing for puffer fish on fly in the back canals.
Yeah?
We still got puffers back there, right?
There's a few of them.
The barnacles aren't growing too good back there anymore, but I think there's enough puffers to get puffers on fly.
We'll chum them up.
Anyway, guys, thanks for coming in. This is Captain Jeff, Anthony Bruno, Zach Routman, and this is the Lunker Dog Podcast. Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks for having us.